Fight scenes, something I have been obsessed with over the last 4 years I have been a filmmaker. There's something beautiful about it. The intense music, quick punches, or even the quick-based editing. All of this and more is what comes together to create a beautiful fight scene. In this video, I'm showing you exactly how to do that, taking you through the writing process, how to choreograph it, to the filming process, and even all the way through the editing process. In this video, I'm showing you exactly how to make a fight scene, whether it's by yourself or with a group of friends. I'm also showing you how to edit it, as well as at the end of this video, taking you through and showing you editing software I would use if I had to start over as a filmmaker. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so the first thing I want to stress as you're getting ready to make your fight scene, plan ahead. Things will 100% go a lot smoother if you plan ahead. That means that when you're writing the script, you need to have your script ready as you go into film. Now, the reason for that is because if you don't write a script at all, and if you're just walking up and you're ready to film a fight scene, you're not going to know what to do. So you're going to have to figure all of that out with your friends as you're getting ready to film. And that's going to take a lot more time rather than if you write a script and you kind of choreograph it ahead of time. An example of this is when I filmed this fork fight scene right here. So for a little context, me and some friend threw my other friend a surprise birthday party. So we tied him up and put him in the back of our trunk and walked around with him in the park until we got him to the place. We took out the blindfold and then it was a surprise birthday party. But we told him we were filming a fight scene, which is why we had him locked in our trunk.
You think you can pull off something like this without me knowing?
What? I didn't do nothing!
Well, guess what? You'll get away with this.
I didn't do anything!
I'm gonna give you a surprise you're never gonna forget.
What?
There's only one thing left I have to say, Connor. I'm John.
It's not my birthday. How far did we try?
Now, he was disappointed, and so he ended up wanting to actually film a fight scene. So what we ended up doing was, okay, well, let's just throw together a quick fight scene with this fork, because we had lots of forks. Now, we didn't plan ahead at all. All we said was, let's just have you run up and throw a punch here and throw a fork here. That little 1 to 2 minute video took about 45 minutes to make, which was actually insane. If I had planned ahead as a filmmaker and kind of had a little more time to think ahead and figure out how to choreograph it, then that little fight scene would have taken maybe 15 minutes to do. So what would have taken us 15 minutes actually took us 45 minutes because we didn't plan ahead. Also, make sure as you're writing the script for your fight scene, you don't write yourself into a corner. What I mean by that is if you have this really cool action fight scene idea and you want to throw someone off of a bridge and they do a triple backflip and break the guy's neck in half, maybe don't do that. If you have to choose between this really cool thing that you may not be able to do or a pretty simple fight scene that's still going to be cool but you know you can do, choose the one that you know you can do, because one, it'll again not take you as much time, and also you know you can do it, and I would start there and then work your way up as a filmmaker. That went really well. Good job, Jesse. Okay, so now that you're on your way to write a really cool fight sequence, I'm going to tell you how to film it. Now, I'm going to focus on a fight scene between 2 people because that's significantly easier than a fight scene between 3 or more people. I don't mean that you have to just have 2 people in the film, but if you're fighting someone, it's easier to have just 2 people fighting rather than like 15 people all fighting together. When you're doing a fight scene, the most important part is to make sure the punches look as realistic as possible. That's the whole point of the fight scene. Now, the easiest way to do this is to line up the camera with the punches so that the camera doesn't actually see the impact of the fist with the face. As you can see, lining up your punches is imperative if you want to make your fight scene look as realistic as possible. However, that's not all you can do to make sure your fight scene is as good as it can be. My next piece of advice is to go handheld. Now, when I first started making fight scenes, I used to use tripods because it was me and then my younger brother fighting. Now, that worked at the time, and it worked as I was kind of leveling up my skill. However, eventually I found out that I liked the handheld look a lot better because the tripod doesn't show the action of the scene, it's just there, that's all it is. However, if you go handheld, then you can move with the motions, and that looks a lot better. My advice for you with that is follow through with the motions. So if you have a character throwing a punch, have the camera follow the fist until the point of impact, and then you can move it quickly at that. That way it follows through and it shows the power behind the punch, and that looks really cool. Now, I've used a gimbal before for a fight scene. A gimbal just gives you a lot smoother motion. However, in all of my fight scenes, I like the more quick motions, and I can still get that with the gimbal. However, I like the handheld look a lot more. So you really don't need to use a gimbal at all. If you have one, you can use it and try it yourself. However, definitely don't buy a gimbal for fight scenes if that's all you're going to be focusing on. Also, a really important piece of advice is make sure your actors are making noises as they're throwing punches and as they're getting punched. That adds to the realism so much, and you would be shocked how important it is to have those noises in the fight scene. Now, an example of when I didn't do this is actually for the short Now, an example of when I didn't do this is once again for the fork fight scene. I didn't make it clear enough that I needed them to make a lot of loud noises, and when I ended up editing the video, I realized it kind of didn't work at all. They didn't really make noises, and it was really quiet. And even with music, then it just didn't sound great at all. So I ended up taking them to the back of my charts, and in between services, I had them basically re-record all of the noises. So all of the grunts and like punch sounds you hear in that little short film were all done after, because they didn't make any noise. Now, if you're getting ready to film your fight scene and your actors aren't making the noises that you want, then show them yourself. Even if you have to run through the whole thing by yourself, just making the noises, then do that. Because showing them what sounds you want them to make makes it so much easier for the actors to make those noises if they hear it coming from you. Another thing that can make your fight scene video look even more impressive is wardrobe. Having your friends fight in, let's say, gym shorts and a t-shirt may look fine. However, that compared to dressing the bad guy in all black and the good guy in, decent clothing like jeans or whatever, that makes it look a lot better, and it makes it look a lot more professional. All that to say, it's definitely better spending 5 minutes picking out a cool outfit from each of them rather than just, what you're wearing's fine. What they're wearing may be fine, however, take the time to figure that out ahead of time. That way when you go to film, you're good to go. Also, if you're getting ready to choreograph the scene, try different types of action. What I mean by that is if you're having the same 3 punches thrown every single time and the same roundhouse kick to the stomach, that's gonna get really boring. What you can do is brainstorm with your friends and think of different moves that they can do to keep the fight interesting. Don't have them throw the same moves. Get creative and figure out what else you can do to keep the fight scene interesting and to motivate the next point in your film. One challenge you could try is try to film an entire fight scene around one certain object. And it could be a really weird one, like a pillow or whatever. However, writing a fight scene around an object can actually help with your creativity. I did this with a fork fight scene, and I did this in another fight scene with a spoon. However, if you limit yourself to just one object, then it can help your creativity because you're forced to think outside of the box for that object. That's just a cool little challenge you guys could try that I honestly might try in one of my future videos too, so maybe try it. Okay, so there are 2 more things I need to discuss before you guys are ready to make your very own fight scene: the music and the editing. Now, music is really important, and I use it in all of my videos. I think music is a way to show your audience what's important, and so by adding music in a really intense part, then that could be great, and then by cutting music in a really intense part, then it can really let your scene breathe, and it can show the audience what's really important by captivating them and drawing them in. Now, for really good music, you'll have to get a subscription service to either Epidemic Sound or Artlist. Those are the 2 that I would try. However, if you're just now starting and you don't know if you want to make that commitment, then going on YouTube and looking up non-copyright intense music can actually take you a long way. So I would try that if you're starting from the very bottom. Now, for the editing. It's actually pretty simple, to be honest. I would say the hardest part about editing a fight scene is figuring out the timing for the punch and the reaction. If there's too much space in between the punch and when you get punched, then it doesn't look right. And if there's not enough space in between the punch and when you get punched, then it looks kind of like it teleported from here to when they already got punched, and that doesn't look right either. I would just say it takes trial and error and a lot of practice, and eventually you kind of get the hang of it, and then it gets really easy. The timing for the sound effects is also really important too. That can add a lot to the film, and if you go on YouTube and look up copyright-free punch sound effect, then that'll work fine. Now, one quick tip for when you're doing the sound effects of the fight scene, because you have to add punching sound effects, is you can actually record yourself. I don't mean walk up and punch your younger brother in the throat. However, if you get a pillow and just punch a pillow, then that can sound really good too. And then if you want to crack bones, if you get celery and then break the celery, then that sounds like cracking bones. There's lots of stuff you can do to get the sound effects that you want. So if you don't have a subscription to one of the services that provides sound effects and music, then you can make your own sound effects, or just go on YouTube and then look up YouTube sound effects of getting punched as well. Either one of those options work really well. Okay, so real quick, I forgot to cover that in this part of the video, but I'm gonna go over real quick editing software and what I use, and if I had to start over as a filmmaker, what I would use. I use Premiere Pro, and if you have the resources, I would suggest that you use it too. However, the other alternative is DaVinci Resolve. Now, if you're wanting to take filmmaking seriously as a director and as a filmmaker, I would 100% say use DaVinci Resolve. You can edit professional movies on it, and you can make it look incredible. Color grading is phenomenal, and it's also free. There's a free version of it that is basically virtually just as good as the paid version, just with a couple less effects that I wouldn't even use as a filmmaker. So long story short, I use Premiere Pro. If you have it, I think it's great, and I think you could use it. It's pretty easy to learn. However, the other alternative would be use DaVinci Resolve. Both of these options are really good, and it's really up to your own judgment, but just so you know, that's what I use and what you could use as a filmmaker. And there you go. That is everything that I wish I knew when I was just getting into fight scenes, all in one compact video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Now, I have a challenge for all of you. If you make a fight scene video and upload it to your channel by
April 16th.
and then comment a link in this video of that fight scene video, then I will check it out. And I will pick one winner who I think made the best fight scene video, and I will shout you out. Make your fight scene video about whatever you want, and as long as you want it to be. It could be 30 seconds or it could be 4 hours. Maybe don't make it 4 hours. As long as you comment a link to your video in this video, then I will check it out, and I'll even leave a comment on your channel as well. Also, watch this fight scene short film I made a little while ago. I think it is really, really awesome, and it could give you some inspiration. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, and I will see you guys later. Bye. 42 minutes. Easy.